If you think horror is just jump scares and cheap gore, Italian horror is about to change your mind. From neon-drenched witch nightmares to stomach-churning jungle brutality, Italy didn't just make horror movies, they redefined what horror could look like and feel like. So today I'm counting down my top 5 Italian horror movies, and trust me, these are not subtle ones. So let's get into it. Cannibal Holocaust. We're going to start out strong, guys, and we're just ripping the bandage off straight away. This is considered to be the most controversial horror film ever made, but in my eyes, it's more than just that. It's one of the most influential and one of the most extreme and also one of the best Italian horror movies ever put to screen. It is that good. Directed by Ruggero Deodato, when this movie was released, it was so realistic that Deodato had to prove in court that the actors were still alive. That's how good the effects were. But Cannibal Holocaust isn't just brutal, it's exploitative. And most of all, it makes you feel uncomfortable. But it's also groundbreaking. This film basically invented the found footage style decades before it became mainstream with movies like Blair Witch Project or The Last Broadcast. And then if we go 10 years forward from that, Paranormal Activity came out and just blew the genre even wider than what it was. But underneath all the shock value is a nasty critique of media sensationalism and how far people will go for ratings, which we see this now every single day with the mainstream media. It's not an easy watch, but it is undeniably a very important horror movie, and not just for Italy, but for everyone. Zombie flesh eaters. If you want peak Italian zombie madness, this is it. Zombie Flesh Eaters isn't just another zombie movie, it's one of the definitive zombie movies. That's how great this is. Zombie 2 has got it all. You want to see an ice skewer? You got it. You want to see a zombie fighting a shark? Okay, done. Do you want to see rotting corpses rising in slow, dreamlike dread? Here you go, this is the movie for you. Zombie 2 is messy, it's graphic, it's very atmospheric, and above all though, it's a great time watching it. When you see what this movie is and the way that Felucci's zombies feel different from the American style, it's so much better. They're slower, which at the time, the American zombies were kinda slow, but when you see these, they're slower than that. They're more decayed, and in my eyes, I actually like that look better than, at the time, just the blue skin and the Crayola color red blood that they were doing in Dawn of the Dead, which basically Zombie Flesh Eaters is actually a direct sequel to that, which is absolutely great, but they seem more hopeless in Zombie 2 than all the others. It's almost like, yeah, we got no hope. As we get into the top 3, folks, let us know your favorite Italian horror below. While you're down there, why not give us a like and a cheeky sub? Who knows? Now let's get into my top 3. Inferno. So this is now where things start to get surreal. Dario Argento, one of the greatest horror filmmakers of all time, Inferno is his follow-up to Sesperia, and it's also part of his Three Mothers trilogy. And to be honest with you, this film feels like a nightmare you can't quite explain. The plot almost doesn't matter with this movie. It's about atmosphere, it's about color, and it's also about the amazing music. Rooms glow in unnatural blues and reds, which is such a trip, but feels like if any other colors were used, it just wouldn't work. That's how good these colors look on screen. And when we see death, it feels random and very, very poetic, which for a horror movie seems very surreal, but it feels totally at home in this. Inferno, though, isn't a straightforward horror movie. It's cinematic dream logic. Everything you see is made to be so precise that even if you try and make sense of it, like a half-remembered dream, you will get nowhere. I urge you to go and see this if you haven't seen it. The Beyond. Yeah, we're back to Fulci, and arguably his masterpiece. The Beyond is less a movie and more a descent into just a pure nightmare dread. A woman inherits a Louisiana hotel built over one of the gates of hell. Straight away, that just sounds awesome. But, as you might expect, things just don't go that way. Things start to unravel, and unravel very, very quick. But here's the kicker. It unravels in ways that don't always make sense, and it feels like they're done intentionally, which, when you think of it like that, it's like, how is this even being done? And what makes this film so special, and in my eyes, the best out of all Fulci's movies, it is the atmosphere. And that atmosphere, it's just pure bleakness, and it's inevitable. By the time the ending hits you, you just feel empty inside, like you've gone through something so horrible you need a stiff drink just to feel a little bit better. Italian horror often sacrifices logic for feelings, and The Beyond is the perfect example of that philosophy. It really is. So I urge you, go and watch it. Sesperia. Yeah, I'm not throwing out any surprises here, folks. Sesperia is not just one of the best Italian horror movies ever made, it's one of the most visually stunning horror films of all time. Hell, just movies in general. That's how good it looks. Again, directed by Dario Argento, this film is pure nightmare art. The colors used in the movie are unreal, but make the movie feel like one big dream, you know? The score by Goblin is haunting and aggressive, and you will be humming this for days on end. I watched this about 3 weeks ago, and I'd probably say for like a week, people would tell me to shut up. That's how much I was humming this song. You know, it's that good. But the most important part for me, again, the atmosphere. Sesperia is just full on suffocating, and that is actually one thing that Italian horror does extremely well. The plots aren't always simple and all this, but when you actually have the atmosphere, it can make a horror movie with a bad plot feel like one of the greatest things ever, just because you're uncomfortable watching it. But if you want to go back to plot, Sesperia is about a ballet academy hiding something sinister. But overall, that just doesn't matter. The way it doesn't matter is because Sesperia makes you feel like you are watching a grim fairy tale set inside a fever dream. That's what it's like. And it's brutal, it's stylish, and above all, it's very, very iconic. And for me, this is the definitive Italian horror experience. If you want to watch any movies on this list, make sure that, even if it's just one, watch Sesperia. Italian horror has always been bold. It's been excessive, dreamlike, and sometimes completely insane. But that's why it stands out, and that is why people love it. Whether it's Argento surreal color-soaked nightmares or Fulci's bleak apocalyptic visions, these films feel completely different from American horror, and that's a good thing. Now, what I want to know, guys, what is your favorite Italian horror movie? Did I miss something? Deep Red or Demons, are they yours? Let us know in the comments. But until next time, folks, I do have other horror deep dives on the channel, so go and make sure to go watch them out. And I've got more dark cinema coming soon. Sleep well.